Dear Mark, dear Mania, I'm writing to you on a prolonged break from my film-related travels. I'm currently staying in Crawley, just outside London, where I spend most of my time writing and walking my dog, Chloe. It's very hot outside, and my clothes feel sticky and annoying. As I often do, I long to be immersed in water, but despite this necessity, swimming is something I still can't do, although I also thankfully have yet to learn how to drown. Well, in water, that is. Thank you so much for sharing your video letters in your wonderful film, Life May Be, which I was able to catch in Edinburgh. I hear it has touched other people in the places it was shown, and this film had an immediate impact on my life for a lot of reasons. One of the most important things it did for me was it reminded me of the fact that the word cinema comes from the Greek word for movement. With most people, cinema is synonymous for red carpets and Oscars, yet the original idea underneath it all is not that we can all do cinema, but rather that we are cinema. I also think of all the travelling you have done in the last while, and I can identify with it so well. But who am I? What do I do? And why am I writing to you? Well, my name is Matt, and all that really needs to be said is that cinema is the reason why I travel. It's a great passion of mine, and has been since I was a kid. And it has led me recently to seeing places I never thought I would see. The last 3 places I've been to, Edinburgh, Bologna and Karlovy Vary, were for 3 different festivals. And back to back, mercilessly. Very exciting, very tiring, often very lonely, and travelling as I do, as we do, broadens your mind for good and for bad, but inevitably helps you evolve as a human. Well, travelling to me also conveys a sense of frustration and my trouble with figuring out the meaning of the word home. Mark, you live in Edinburgh and moved from Northern Ireland. Mania, you're in London, exiled from your home country of Iran. I was born in one place and raised in another. I was born in Genoa, in Italy, and I was raised in Galway, Ireland. And now, I have ditched both places because neither feels like home to me. But most of the time, it's not about where home is, but what it is. What is a home? Let's presume that home is just one place. The one place where you truly feel at ease. Is it the place where you were born? The place where you were educated? The place where something happened that will stay with you forever? There's over 8 million people living in London. But have you noticed how many Londoners go to therapy? It was one of the first things I noticed. A place like London can make you or break you from one second to the next. It's truly a city of extremes, and this can be seen through its confused architecture. Well, I live there on and off. I certainly can't say it's my home. Yet, I too had my form of therapy while I was there. I would go to the National Gallery when I was really down and out and look at the paintings. Now, I'm not a big fan of the National Gallery. I think it is mostly a place of greed. There is far too much in it, and you often see paintings by, for instance, Van Gogh and Cézanne, stacked one on top of the other. And to me, that feels unnecessarily overwhelming, as well as disrespectful to the memory of these artists. Nevertheless, one day a painting caught my eye, and it was The Virgin of the Rocks by Leonardo da Vinci. And as I sat down on the bench in front of it, I looked at the Virgin Mary, and I was not communicating with the artist, but with the subject. She seemed understanding, and I likened myself to the children portrayed in the picture. I talked with the Virgin Mary, sometimes in a whisper, and she seemed to listen. I sat there for what must have been much longer than many others, and I likened this experience to some kind of prayer. I realized that no matter how lonely life may be, no matter where I will end up and at what point in my life I will have found myself, there will always be a museum with subjects with whom I might be able to communicate. But if museums, as I hinted at, are my churches, still, I am lacking a home. I should specify my home intended as my own. This is not a dig at the family I come from, the family I love, the family that brought me into the world and raised me. My mother, my father, my brother, my sister, and my dog. This is something that is mine, my own branch in the tree, my own island in the ocean. In the last 2 years, I fancied another perspective. I thought home was not a house, but a person. Home was someone you should go back to because you need to. Yet, life makes you realize in the worst of ways that humans tend to be quite volatile and fickle, and there is no point in blaming other people for it, because they are often only as bad as you yourself are. This inability to understand the word home, unlike I have understood the meaning of the word cinema, has truly affected me in my life and in my travels. But there is more. No matter where I found myself in the last few months, whether it was Rotterdam, Berlin, Edinburgh, London, Karlovy Vary, Bologna, Strasbourg, Cannes, I started becoming aware of something very strange, that was always there, but that I could never really single out, and that hadn't really been revealed to me from the depths of my soul. Sometimes, at random times, I feel like I am completely immersed in water. This does not mean that I am swimming in water, or necessarily floating in it. It simply means that my whole body reacts to the environment as if I were literally completely surrounded by water. And it can happen anytime. It may happen as I sit on a plane waiting to take off to a different country. Or it may be as I walk down a familiar street, as I sit listening to music, and it even happens when I make love. I thought it was a common thing for people to feel, a type of bodily protective reaction, a subconscious reception. Yet, when I attempt to express this to people, some fail to understand. So, what is it about water? Is it because the two cities where I shared most of my existence in, Genoa and Galway, were coastal towns? In Life May Be, Mania, you film yourself bathing, and as you do, you tell us some profoundly personal things. Mark, in your final letter, You give plenty of room to water, and as you film waterfalls and lakes, you distance yourself. Well, here I am, on a rainy night in Karlovy, satisfying at last my needs for my body to be immersed in water, for real. And shortly after, I wondered whether I cried on the day I was baptized. After watching your film, I went out and bought myself a camera. A cheap camera. I want to see my memories, remember how I felt those times I walked down some street, or looked at the world from the inside of a bus. I don't want image perfection, it's not important. But by filming, and by doing so, I am fulfilling a need that I have had for a long time, to record the images I see, visions of ordinary beauty and the spectacle that lies before me, such as this in Crawley, a quiet residential part of West Sussex. Who would ever think that given the right circumstances it might take your breath away? I wonder if the Lumiere brothers thought so. Yours truly, Matt. P.S. I'm also a singer-songwriter, and music is another one of my passions. So here's a song that I wrote some time ago that expresses the feelings that I've just revealed in this letter. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Another winter, another summer.